Everything about FedEx is big, large, and like a mammoth operation.
220 countries, 700 aircraft, 500,000 team members. It creates possibility. Supply chains have not gone back to any normalcy. Users of logistics need to understand the impact of sustainability.
What role does Sharjah play in the running operation?
Technology is going to be the backbone of that. Sharjah is a very exciting place. The amount of startup and SME activity happening here, AI is going to drive a lot of the growth. We've set out a very aggressive goal to be carbon neutral by 2040. Never lose sight of the culture of your company.
Welcome to Rising Sharjah, where we uncover the stories behind the people driving some of the world's most successful companies. Today, we're joined by Sammy Bousaba, Managing Director Sales, Middle East, India and Africa at FedEx. Welcome to the podcast, Sammy. Pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's start off with telling our audiences about your role at FedEx Express.
My role at FedEx Express, I'm the Managing Director of Sales for the Middle East and Africa region, responsible for around 69 countries, based here in Dubai. And in fact, our FedEx main hub here is in Dubai.
FedEx has a formidable presence globally. 220 countries is what you all cover. You all have air, land, transport, and it's a global giant. Tell us about how your role entwines in the overall global strategy of FedEx.
My role specifically, I'm in business development. So my job is to make sure that our customers around the region are connected to the 220 countries that you just mentioned. Our customers rely on FedEx for our global network, our global reach, to really reach anywhere around the world within 3 to 5 business days maximum. In my scope and my responsibility, I'm here to make sure that the customers based in the Middle East and Africa region are connected through our global network to reach their clients, their suppliers, their vendors all around the world, and eventually, obviously, to drive their business growth and become bigger companies here in the region.
I'm sure we're all curious to know, what does a day in the life of Sammy look like working at FedEx Express?
Besides Zoom calls, conference calls, and meetings and emails, really I try to prioritize and spend as much of my time with customers as possible, because they drive, of course, they're the number one priority for FedEx. And then, of course, with 500,000 team members worldwide, we have a large group of team members here in the region. My job, of course, is to make sure that I'm with the team. We're a people-first company. I really do spend quite a bit of time making sure that our people are taken care of, that they have the support they need, that they know the direction we're headed, and just really work as one team to drive our business forward.
Almost 500,000 employees, 220 countries. Everything about FedEx is big, large, and like a mammoth operation. And I'm sure one of the key things driving this is technology. Can you tell us about the technological advances and innovations that you all have taken up recently to aid your operations?
First of all, I would look at FedEx in two ways. We have a physical network, which, as you just said, 220 countries, 700 aircraft, connecting what we say is 99% of the world's GDP within 48 to 72 hours. So that's the physical side. So we can get goods from Sharjah to the furthermost address in the US or China within that network. On top of that physical network, though, just as importantly, is what we call the virtual network. And that's where the technology and the innovation comes in. So not only do we want to offer the fastest and most reliable supply chain, we want to also build the smartest supply chains for our customers. And we do that through a lot of innovation and investment in digital, to the point that we actually have one of our kind of operating companies within FedEx is called FedEx DataWorks. And this company is set up to really drive the data and harness the data that's within FedEx to give smarter supply chains here around the world. We do that through various solutions. We have, for example, our sensor-based technology, which is called SenseAware. And this is literally an RFID chip that goes along with the package, and it tracks the light, the vibration, the temperature, humidity of the shipment. We have predictive tracking and predictive analytics now that we can offer customers. We know ahead of time if there's going to be an event, we can reroute shipments and make sure they get there in the fastest way possible.
Interesting. Could you throw more light on how could you help a small business or a new business just starting out of, say, an emirate like Sharjah?
Absolutely. If you think about what I just covered with the two networks, so global network and physical network, our philosophy, our belief is that when we provide access, right, for a company in Sharjah or a small micro enterprise that's just starting out, we provide that access to the 220 countries through these networks. When we do that, we're giving companies like these ability to reach clients all over the world within a very quick time frame. What that does is it creates possibility. And so when those companies reach those clients, they're getting new possibilities, they're getting new access, and they're getting opportunities. That then drives further growth, further access, further opportunities, and then we see communities flourish.
Can you tell us about challenges you face in the diverse UAE market in terms of diversity, in terms of economic fluctuations or diversity among the audiences in the UAE? It's 90% expats and it's so varied. Could you tell us how FedEx combats these kind of challenges?
Yeah, UAE is our home. We opened our hub here in Dubai World Central. So we believe very strongly in what UAE brings to the region. In fact, if you see, we're landing around 6 flights a day right here in Dubai, and it's one of the most technologically advanced hubs we have in the world. Within the UAE, we recognize one very unique thing. The UAE customer base is very sophisticated. They're much more advanced than many other parts of the region. Unfortunately, it's a good and a bad thing. The good thing is, of course, they're well in tune with where they want to be, where they want to go, but that comes with a high expectation. So customers here and consumers in the UAE do have higher expectations than most in terms of digital access, in terms of on-demand services. We've really brought a lot of solutions to meet those demands, like WhatsApp delivery management through WhatsApp. I can reroute my delivery to my neighbor to another day. All those kind of at your fingertip solutions that the UAE consumers need. It is an ever fluctuating market, but the diversity that the UAE brings, I think, is actually a huge opportunity. Businesses like ours really have to be agile, flexible, and really respond to customer needs as they develop. Within the region, to answer your other question, there are definitely volatile situations. And I think what we're seeing, we all know what happened during COVID, and it's unfortunate we still have to talk about COVID a little bit, but I don't think anyone's ever returned to a normal after COVID. And that's specifically around supply chains. Supply chains have not gone back to any normalcy. And then, of course, global challenges in various conflicts or various disruptions will always have an effect on the supply chains. And we're not seeing any kind of real base back to be pre-COVID supply chain type management. Things are always fluctuating. We always advise our customers to have backup plans, to have contingencies, to be agile, be able to move your supply chain around depending on what's happening in the region or in the globe.
And what about Sharjah? I know that Sharjah is also a very key territory for FedEx. You all have like a territory office in Sharjah as well. What role does Sharjah play in the bigger scheme of things and running operations in FedEx?
Very exciting place. What we love about Sharjah as FedEx is the amount of startup and SME activity happening here. And just to see what your free zone is doing as an example, just to offer this ability for companies to start out and to really reach a global stage through Sharjah is really exciting for us. We are very serious about Sharjah. We're very excited about the partnership we have with SPC as well. And I think there's a lot to come in Sharjah, and there's a lot that FedEx can do to help companies in Sharjah grow.
That's amazing. Let's talk about the evolution of the logistics sector, or rather the future of the logistics sector. Do you see any key trends coming up soon that will change the face of the industry?
Absolutely. I think the first one that we all have to talk about is AI and digitization, right? I think we're scratching the surface of AI in any way we look at it. And it's kind of scary, I think, in a way. But I think when we look at how supply chains are evolving and how logistics as a whole is evolving, I think AI is going to drive a lot of the growth or a lot of the change, not just AI, but overall digitization. Supply chains are getting smarter, and that's down to where you manufacture, where do you source raw material for production, where do you distribute and warehouse? Do you even need to warehouse anymore? So all these things are ever evolving. And I think it's really about how do we bring that technological power to clients and to customers all over the region to allow them to take advantage of digital technology, not just to be a user of it, but to actually take it proactively and enhance and optimize their own supply chains to be more smart and agile. We're going to see a lot of digitization come in, which is going to change maybe where people manufacture. And I know UAE is a country that's looking to increase manufacturing here. And I think it's a great idea. It's a great way to diversify the economy as well. And technology is going to be the backbone of that. Technology for one, and I think the other big thing that we all have to look out for is sustainability. The pressure and the benefits of sustainability, I should say, are going to change the game, not just for our industry, but all industries. And I think it's important that people in the industry or users of logistics need to understand the impact of sustainability and the benefits of the outcome of that and what they can do to be part of it. We do a lot of work with our clients in terms of showing their impact on carbon emissions at the package level. We have some data tools that you can even see. I shipped this package from Sharjah to France, and I know the actual CO2 emissions from that package movement. So those kinds of technological advances to support sustainability as well are going to be game changers, I think, for the future.
I think you touched upon a very important point about carbon footprint and the impact of organizations or even industries on the environment. Would you like to give us a little more insight into what FedEx Express does in order to manage its carbon footprint?
We have over 700 airplanes flying around the world. It's not the easiest task to become carbon neutral when you have that many airplanes and we have over 20,000 motorized vehicles everywhere. But we've set out a very aggressive goal to be carbon neutral by 2040. To be an airline and to say that we're going to be carbon neutral is definitely a monumental task. We're doing that in many different ways. We're doing a lot of carbon offsets. We have just launched our electric vehicles here in the UAE. Our Dubai hub that I mentioned earlier is going to be as green as possible. It has solar power technology, all LED lighting, etc. And we're looking at, of course, our entire packaging material is now going to be fully carbon neutral as well. So there's a lot we're doing to get ahead of the game in terms of carbon offsets and carbon neutrality. And we've also invested over $100 million with Yale University to have a look at biofuels for aircraft aviation, which is a program that we're embarking on.
That's really amazing to think of at such a mammoth level. The collaborations you have, a positive impact on the environment. I think the work you do, the work the FedEx team does is really, really path-breaking and has such an amazing impact on business, the economy, and making the world a smaller place. Absolutely. It was really nice speaking to you today, Sammy. And unfortunately, we're at the last question. I want to know from you, you've spent years in this industry. You've been with FedEx for 27 years. What advice would you give people aspiring to join the logistics sector?
Let me put it this way. The advice I would give anyone really going into the business and in logistics, I think in any company, just to share some experience around it, there's a few core things that I think we all need to recognize to be successful in any role, right, that you're going into. Number one is always embrace the culture and never lose sight of the culture of your company. We have a very strong culture at FedEx, which is probably a testament to me being 27 years in the company. And that culture is the backbone of anywhere you go, anything you do, that culture remains in FedEx. So it could be in our Sharjah office, it could be in our India office or in our US offices, the culture is the same. So if you're coming into an industry new or a company new, embrace and learn the culture. The second thing I would say is embrace diversity. Diversity for us is a huge focus. With over 500,000 team members, we believe that diversity within gender, race, ability, religion, culture, multiculturalism, all those creates an atmosphere where you can have more growth, you have more open debate, more ideas, and that diversity sparks innovation. So for us, diversity is key. And for anyone joining, I think bringing diversity of thought is always going to make you more successful as a professional and as a leader. And then I think the last thing I would say about someone joining the industry is be flexible. It's a dynamic industry. Logistics is always changing. There's always something happening. Be adaptable and be ready to learn very, very quickly and grow very quickly as well.
Thank you so much, Sammy, for your invaluable insights. I'm sure our audience will find this very enriching and there's so much to learn from what you said today. Kudos to you and your team at FedEx. You all do a wonderful job. I've had the opportunity to meet many of you all and you all are so welcoming, so well-read, so knowledgeable about the industry. And I'm so happy you joined us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's been an honor.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Join us next time on Rising Sharjah as we continue to explore the people and ideas defining our global economic landscape. And like I always say, keep rising.